Okay, for part two of week two, I want to talk a little bit about the information that you would find in Yardsticks. And this was a book that you're not required to purchase. So I am going to read some of it out of here. But I think this is a really good resource that takes each section by age and gives a typical 10-year-old. Now, obviously, we can't lump them all together, and there's a whole spectrum of how they act. But in the age, typical 10-year-old, here's how they would act: 11, 12, 13, and 14. So I want to be able to go through those. And then I think they fit real closely with the stuff that Judith Bannon has done, and then some of the things that you'll be reading in your book for this week, Diary of a Part-Time Indian. Are they pretty close? Are the traits that they make the characters within that book, are they pretty close to the things that we've talked about here in class? So I would like to start right away with the 10-year-old. The 10-year-old, physically, large muscle development, desperately needs outdoor and playtime. So recess. When do you in your school have recess? When do you decide recess isn't important anymore? Is your advisory active? Are there active times during the day? All questions if you are dealing with 10-year-olds, all questions to consider. Handwriting is often sloppier than at 9. Snacks and rest periods helpful for the growing bodies. As we think of handwriting, another question you may want to talk about in your discussion is how much do you focus on handwriting anymore? How much is keyboarding? How early do you teach the keyboarding skills, and how much do you expect as far as them writing in cursive? Just some things that I don't think we have a consensus on yet as an education institution. Social, they're quick to anger and quick to forgive. Generally content, work well in groups, enjoy their family and their peers. They like clubs, activities, and sports. Truthful, usually, developing a more mature sense of what's right and wrong. With their language, they're very expressive, talkative, cooperative, competitive, friendly, and generally happy. Cognitive, they like rules, they like logic. They're able to concentrate and read for extended periods of time. Their stamina is better as far as the reading time. They're good problem solvers, and they're very proud of their academic products. So then, as we look then at an 11-year-old, physically high energy, they need rest. They have growth spurts, and they're starting to show signs of puberty. Menstruation for the majority of the girls. Food is important, especially that mid-morning snack in school. Socially, the adult personality begins to emerge at 12 years old. They're more reasonable, more tolerant than when they were 11. They're empathetic, self-aware, and insightful, can set realistic goals in the short term. They appear to be secure. This is where peers become more important than their teachers. So at 11 years old is where you kind of see them following the crowd. For their language, you start to see a sarcasm, double meanings, jokes of intellectual interest. Enjoy conversations with adults and peers, and their peer vocabulary or their slang becomes important. Cognitively, increased ability to abstract and intellectual pursuits. Can, and they will, see both sides of an argument. High interest in current events, politics, social justice. So that shows you a little bit about the 12-year-old. And then as we go into 13, physically, they have high physical energy. Their skin problems are starting to emerge. Hygiene becomes a key issue. It's about this age that you see them finally saying, okay, I want to take a shower, or I want to wear makeup or jewelry. 95% of girls of mature height, boys, the voice changes for many at 13. Socially, they're quieter than the 12s or the 14s. They like to be alone at home. The close friendships are more obviously important to the girls. The boys hang out in groups. Girls are interested in older boys. The computer and video games become a major time factor. Socially, at 13, music becomes a major preoccupation. Peer pressure increasing regarding their dress, their language, their music, what's in, what's out, what's cool. Horseplay, practical jokes, real high in the boys. Collection of things, collecting jewelry, collecting makeup, collecting tapes. Collecting things is important at this age for both males and females. Their language, they have one-word answers to questions, minimum feedback, especially to parents and teachers. They're rude. They're rude at 13. Extreme language and volume in face of parental involvement. Cognitively withdrawn, sensitive nature, abstract reasoning, formal operations begin to be functional sometime within the 13s. Tentative approach to difficult intellectual tasks. They're not willing to take big learning risks. They're so afraid of being wrong and being embarrassed in front of their peers. They like to challenge intellectual as well as social authority. That's at 13. And finally at 14, physically still high energy. High energy seems like that's the common thing in every group. They're loud. Now, alcohol and drugs become a major influence on their physical well-being. The girls' full development is nearly complete, and in boys, the growth spurt continues. Um, Sexually active, the percentages increase. Socially, they like to do as much as possible, cram as much into a day as they possibly can. More of their own adult personality becomes evident. They're loud. They're often embarrassed to be seen with their parents, critical of the way their parents dress, their habits, their friends, their parents' habits, their parents' friends, their parents' ideas. All very embarrassing to them. They can be a pain at home and a star at school. They don't respond well to adult lectures. They feel that they know what's going to be said before it's been spoken. It's often known as the know-it-all stage. Their language, they will engage more in group discussion, interested in the meaning of words, developing a broader vocabulary. Peer language patterns of paramount importance, but learning to negotiate the adult world as well. Cognitively more willing to admit an error, revise their work, or try something a second or third time. They're interested in technology, how things work. They learn well in cooperative groups. They respond well to academic variety and challenge, and they're easily bored. I'm sure you've heard bored quite often. In the next session, the third week, we're going to move on, and they talk about their motor skills, their cognitive, their social, and then they actually even relate these traits to things that we should know about in certain areas, whether it be math or reading or thematic units. So in each one of those areas, I will take each area a little bit further in the third week. So just a reminder, you do have some assignments this week. You'll want to be posting on your social networks. You will want to be participating in the discussion groups, starting a discussion and then responding to a couple others. I don't go through and count necessarily, but I am looking for rich, full participation, thought, input. I'm here to provide the resources and provide anything I can based on my education and experience, but I need you to make this class rich and full and everything that we want it to be so that we can all learn from each other. And then finally, for this week, you will be working on reading the Absolute True Diary of a Part-Time Indian, and you will have 2 weeks to get that accomplished. I think in the syllabus I talked about 1, but I had some concern about time frames, and so you will have 2 weeks to get that read and write the 2 to 3 page paper on how the author portrays these characters in relation to some of the traits that we've been talking about and some of the articles that you've been reading. Be sure that you use quotes or passages or learnings from the articles so that I know that you're keeping up with the reading. And be sure to email me or call if you have any questions. I will see you for week 3, and in the meantime, we will stay in touch through our Blackboard experience. See you soon.